Hey everybody, John Ramdeen with you here in our downtown studios. This is Fight News Now Extra. Robin Black and I will discuss some of the big fights about to go down in mixed martial arts. In the news today, the Scotland card gets a main event, the undercard of the Scottish show gets a supporting cast, and the UFC Hall of Fame will add 2 former champions. UFC Fight Night 72 will now be called Bisping versus Leites, as Ultimate Fighter winner Michael Bisping will challenge BJJ wizard Thales Leites, and it will serve as the main event of the show. It will take place in Glasgow. The count will look to make it 2 in a row since his loss to Luke Rockhold, while the Brazilian Leites could make it 9 straight if he can dispatch the Brit. The undercard of the show in Scotland is filling up nicely, as Ross Pearson will take on the always dangerous Evan Dunham at 155 pounds, while Irish scrapper Paddy Houlihan collides with Vaughn Lee. And finally, the UFC will induct 2 martial arts greats into their Hall of Fame in July, as former champions Boss Rutan and BJ Penn will be honored at a ceremony at the Fan Expo in Las Vegas. And don't forget to tune in to our preview show for Carlos Condit, Thiago Alves, all the action going down in Brazil. Tune into FN 7 p.m. Eastern. And then keep it locked here at 8 p.m. for the preliminary action, including that scintillating tilt between Jussier Formiga and Wilson Hayes at 125 pounds. Joined by Robin Black, coming up this weekend, Carlos Condit, Thiago Alves. Of course, that's the main event. I want to talk about some of the fights on the undercard. You look at KJ Noons making his return. I think this is one of the most exciting fighters. I'm surprised the UFC isn't pushing this guy, considering he's got the looks, he's got the style, and he's got some big victories. Why isn't the UFC looking after this guy right now?
It's interesting. Could be him. You know, this might be a part of his life instead of his whole life. And we're seeing that.
Can you do that in 2015?
If you're as good as he is, you can. And you were seeing this out of some guys. You're looking at it like, I will dedicate everything I have to this thing and make myself $68,000. Or I'll work really hard, I'll focus, you know, if guys who have the full skill set and the experience and stuff go, I'm going to kill myself for 8 weeks, twice or 3 times a year, make 50 grand and pursue some other things. We're seeing a little bit more of that. You ain't gonna be champion that way. No way, no how. But you can make some money, go on these awesome adventures, travel to another city, get to have the beautiful experience of combat in front of people. It is not a great part-time job. It's a risky part-time job, but the financials make it, for some guys who are not going to be champion, the reality.
Cowboy Oliveira, his opponent, remember that fight against Gilbert Burns, the jiu-jitsu
the
coach
other cowboy.
Yeah, exactly, and it was, what a sensational fight. I would imagine it's going to be the same type of thing. KJ Noons and the Brazilian taking the center of the cage and just smashing each other.
Yeah, that cowboy, the Brazilian cowboy, it looked like you could feel the vibe out of him. He's like, if somebody will stand with me, I swear to God, I'm going to put on the best show you've ever seen. Maybe we'll get the Brazilian cowboy versus the Budweiser cowboy.
Yeah, right. That would be
but
awesome.
KJ Noons is the right guy for this. Noons has other skills. He knows how to use it. He can wrestle. But he seems to enjoy that, and I think we're all going to enjoy that fight. It's going to be a good one.
Also, Formiga, Wilson Hayes, and this is one of those fights that's kind of flying under the 125-pound radar. We saw Joseph Benavidez, we saw John Dodson be successful, and of course, we don't know how those other guys fit in the mix. We know that John Moraga, you know, a fight between Formiga or Zach Makovsky or any of these fights, it's meaningful for the 125-pound division, as is this fight between Formiga and Wilson Hayes. Wilson Hayes, when we were down in San Diego training at the Alliance team with some of the best in the world, including Dominic Cruz at 135 pounds. So I would expect that Wilson Hayes is going to surprise a lot of people. We know that Formiga, really talented everywhere, especially if he gets the fight on the ground. His top game, probably the best, possibly, well, the best at 125 pounds, but maybe the best in all of mixed martial arts.
There was a time where Formiga was considered the best guy at 125 pounds out there. And then Hayes looks phenomenal. I hope, hey, we love to see guys slip and counter and drill each other and beautiful combinations and stuff, but I really hope this one hits the mat. These 2 guys are spectacular there. There are times where people can see a ground fight and go, I get it. Yeah. This could be one of those times. I'm actually really excited about Nick Lentz and Charles Oliveira, the rematch. Go back and watch that first fight. Nick Lentz lately has just been a non-stop, you know, gritty, hard-nosed grinder. But Oliveira was feasting on him. Knees up the middle, lots and lots of knees.
And a foul.
Dropped him. and the foul, which was also a knee up the middle. He had a simple game plan. You're dealing with a shorter wrestler who's going to change his level and shoot in on you. Knee him in the face, 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 and then knee him in the face with his knee on the ground, his other knee. So that one was a no contest, and that's a tough one, man, because Oliveira certainly was winning that fight. But Nick Lentz, a grinder, he gets a chance to go back and erase that whole thing. And nobody likes getting kneed in the face and dropped with right hands and essentially sneaking one out. Nick Lentz, a proud guy. He wants that one back in Brazil.
You talked about KJ Noons, his fighting style, fan-friendly. Well, Leites going to be taking on Michael Bisping in Scotland. His previous style, maybe not so fan-friendly. If you're a jiu-jitsu guy, it's like, wow, this guy knows how to do things on the ground. Since he left the UFC, working diligently on his hands and on a streak right now, stopping guys with his hands. This is the way you can make money in mixed martial arts. Sure, be a showstopper if the fight hits the ground, but try to knock them out. This is going to be a good fight. I don't know if anybody expected that when Leites was booted from the UFC that we would ever see him back, and let alone come back, get himself into the top 10, and I would not be surprised to see this guy get a title shot in the next year and a half.
Yeah, I agree. And it's clean striking, too. It's not dumb striking. Dumb striking can be fun, but it's clean and crisp and efficient and educated striking, and he's been looking very good. Bisping will be, you know, a huge test for anybody, and we saw that just recently, I mean, against CB Dollaway. Dollaway's a great wrestler. In theory, has the skills that you need to beat Bisping. Bisping was like, not today, mate. And it might be the same deal, but if Leites, you get through Bisping, you are top.
Yeah, I'm not feeling it. I think Leites, he seems mentally strong. It's like I just had to make a few adjustments to get back to the UFC and prove that I'm worthy of claiming UFC 185-pound gold. That is it for us. Don't go anywhere. More Fight News Now Extra is still coming at you.